Greetings and salutations. Thank you for lending an ear to The Voice of the Times this Monday, June 28, 2021. For today's editorial, political comments spoil Aquino's memorial service. The final send-off, as it were, for any former president should be an occasion for Filipinos to set aside political differences and honor his or her service to the Republic. That was our expectation for former President Benigno Noynoy Aquino III, who died at 61 and was recently buried. To say the least, it was disturbing to hear lawyer Lorenzo Larry Gadon insinuate Mr. Aquino suffered from something too offensive to repeat here. Not only were Mr. Gadon's comments on his radio program hurtful and mere hearsay, these may even be illegal as some alleged. He is now parrying criticisms along with calls for his disbarment. The former president died of renal disease secondary to diabetes, according to his family's statement. This was corroborated by the eulogies and other testimonies given by Mr. Aquino's friends and his former cabinet officials. Indeed, many in the so-called die-hard Duterte supporters, or DDS camp, have been outright nasty in their social media posts. While no president will ever be perfect, there is an appropriate time to share their opinions about the Aquino presidency. Regretfully, some in the yellow camp were not above making inappropriate political comments themselves. Yellow, of course, is the color of the Liberal Party, the political organization of Mr. Aquino and his mother, former President Corazon Cory Aquino. In his homily at the memorial service, Lingayen Dagupan Archbishop Socrates Villegas said, "Eulogies have been written and spoken and shared, but the best eulogy tribute we can pay to our President Noy is to bring back, recover, preserve, safeguard, and never again to compromise our dignity as people and the decency of our leaders as servants, not bosses. The flags at half-mast are not only for the dead president, but for the dying, decent governance." One has to be blind not to recognize the reference to the 2022 elections and the broadside against President Rodrigo Duterte, even though we suspect the incumbent president would be unapologetic for making crass public statements and his controversial policies. A funeral service is hardly the appropriate stage to express such commentaries. In contrast, in fact, the Archbishop's homily contrasted with the eulogies given by the cabinet secretaries who served the Aquino administration and by close friends including Father Jose Ramon Jet Villarin, the former Ateneo de Manila University president. Their anecdotes provided insights into Mr. Aquino's private side and even humanized the persona behind the political figure. Even the target of the Archbishop's blind item demonstrated more grace than his eminence. President Duterte asked people to unite in prayer for Mr. Aquino. President Duterte paraphrased the biblical verse. He spoke softly, saying the death of his predecessor reminds us of our own mortality. Perhaps we should interpret that as a suggestion not to waste our limited time on scoring cheap political points. Instead, we should devote this time to praying for Mr. Aquino and condoling with his surviving family and friends. We saw from some ranking officials of the present government who attended the memorial service at the Ateneo campus. Admittedly, though, we feel disappointed that the former commander-in-chief's remains were not brought to Malacanang as protocol dictates. By ignoring that, his family inadvertently risked making a political statement or having their intentions misinterpreted. Then again, there is wisdom in ditching protocol, if the aim is to avoid political intrigue and inappropriate chatter about the Aquinos sharing an intimate moment with a political rival. So perhaps we should let that slide out of respect for a grieving family. For now, we extend our well wishes to the Aquino clan. We hope their sense of loss will be assuaged by the fact Mr. Aquino is now resting in peace, free from pain and spared from the petty politics that will soon seep into public discourse. There will be a time for an impartial review of his presidency, perhaps by historians in the future. And like Mr. Duterte, we conclude by turning to Ecclesiastes. To everything there is a season, and a time for every purpose under heaven. And that's the editorial for Monday, June 28, 2021. For more news and information, get a copy of the Manila Times on print, subscribe to our digital edition, or log on to www.manilatimes.net. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and listen to The Voice of the Times.